Hey guys, I hit the score cap for squad battle for 2.6 yesterday. So I'm going to kind of use that as an excuse to talk about the relationship between the persistent universe and Arena Commander, and really how CIG and the players, should be using AC to make the actual, game, the persistent universe, better in the long run. I get the impression that I'm just thinking about this. It's going to be kind of a longer rant, kind of like wonky, in the trenches kind of stuff. Because I've been dealing with issues related to this since the beginning of AC, and kind of, it just kind of grows over time. I have a lot of opinions on it. I mean, competitive team matches are hard to set up right now. Though just yesterday there was a big Star Marine tournament that seemed to be a big success. Um, I've been hosting kind of a squad battle tournament that it's had some ups and downs and with scheduling and stuff like that. But when it works, when the competitive stuff works, the team gameplay, it's the most fun I've ever had in this game. The communication, like the teamwork, the adrenaline, it's awesome. Like you come out of these games like shaking because it's a combination of exciting and fun. That's perfect. That's what this game should be. And I have those videos on YouTube of a couple games that we did. Um, they're unedited, not really exciting for the entire length. If you guys really want them, I can make those public, but they kind of demonstrate, how difficult it is to actually get this stuff working. Um, anyway, a lot of people look at me, they look at my org, and they see me spending all of my time chasing leaderboards in AC or something like that, and that's somewhat true. Like I have, as you can see here, 43 hours in this patch alone, which is crazy. I mean, I have dozens of hours every patch, but um, that's a lot of time. And our org has 200, almost 270 hours this patch alone, um, with 60 people. And to put that into context, I think the next org, there you go, 178 Test Squadron has 11,000, 12,000, something like that people. We have more time than any other org with our 60. So we are a little bit. I mean, yeah, it takes a certain amount of crazy to do what we do and play ASC this much at this point in its development. We are a little bit crazy. Um, but we're not here for AC. We're not here to say that we're better than other people. We're here for the PU. Personally, I'm here for medium to large scale fleet actions like taking over an enemy org station, or defending a mining operation we got going in a dangerous territory, or diving deep into Vandal space to find abandoned UEE or wrecked Vandal ships or whatever to fix up and sell for a huge profit back in a safer area. Like this end game, team-based, I mean, in some cases competitive combat. They take coordination, they take teamwork, and just like execution. That lots of skills there. That it's just exciting and fun. That's what I'm here for. It's not just dogfighting. We need Marines, not we. You need Marines to do these things. You need logistics. You need crew. It's going to be awesome. That's the dream of this game for myself. Um, but right now, I don't go into the PU in Crusader, and I mean, I guess every patch I go in for a few hours. I do all the missions, I explore the new areas, and I'm done. That's it. I've seen everything there is to see. Few hours. Um, there's, I don't know where I want to go with this. There's a handful of reasons why Arena Commander is the place to be. This is where we are if you want to actually get better and be proficient in combat. I mean, it's got sheer repetition. It's got better frame rate objectives. I don't really want to talk about that as much. I want to focus on the changes, the fixes that would make it way better for testing and balancing and figuring out combat mechanics and carrying those things over to the actual game. Um, we can make we can make the PU better by what we do in AC, but we need some help from CIG to do that. And the first part I want to talk about is game modes. How many times in the PU are you going to be going into a situation where there's 10 other people who are all against you, and they're all against each other in like a free for all deathmatch situation? That's battle royale. That is never going to happen in the universe, right? You're gonna know who's who. You're gonna either have your own teammates or you're gonna know they're bad guys. And if they're suspicious, and I guess you don't know who they are, you're at least gonna be suspicious of them, right? You're gonna be wary of them. You don't have to be wary of 10 independent actors all at the same time who are also wary of each other at the same time. It's just not going to be like that, right? You're going to be in a safe area or a lawless area, and you're going to be prepared for that situation. That's what Battle Royale is, and it's complete shit. Like, this has been the most popular game mode for the longest time just because it was listed first, like it was the default. And we all know from studies that people rarely change the default. They just click, 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 and go. They're not going to be in there uh, figuring out other game modes, which one they want to try. And it's slightly improved now, and I'm so happy right now that Squad Battle is actually the most populated game mode. So BR's got 250, 275. Yeah, so not by much, but at least just the fact that you can see on the screen means more people are clicking it, more people are playing Squad Battle. And it's a Squad Battle is obviously the opposite of that. It's a team-based game. You know who's who. You have allies. You have enemies. And this is why this is fun. This is why this is a multiplayer game. This is why every other PvP, not every, but the vast majority of multiplayer PvP games out there are team-based as their default game mode. Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Team Fortress, World of Tanks, War Thunder, every MOBA that there is, MechWarrior Online, whatever you want to have, it's generally going to be a team play as the default. And that's what we're going to see in the PU. That's what AC should be by default. It should be listed first or prioritized or whatever. And at least now it's visible and more people are doing it. But BR, for all intents and purposes, sucks. It should be minimized. And I've been saying this forever, but I hate that game mode. We can also talk about what kind of gameplay we want within this. So let's say we're in squad battle. How do we incentivize certain skills or decisions or whatever? First of all, we have a situation where when you eject in squad battle, you don't get a death. That I think is great. You want to know when to bail out of your ship, right? You want to survive. That's a real skill that you're going to need to have in the PU when you have persistent death. You need to know when to fold. And I don't know if it's a bug or intentional, but I hope it's intentional. That's what we have right now, and that's great. What we don't have is that the attacker who gets you to eject doesn't often get points for that. And when they do get points, it's partial. It's not like worth a kill, and you definitely don't get the kill tally for it. That is wrong. That incentivizes ejecting just to get out of there, so to deny your enemy points, and that's not good gameplay because they effectively took you out of the game. They deserve a kill for that. It's the same thing for when you go out of bounds or you get a self-destruct or you crash into something, right? In those cases, you should get the death because you're actually dead. Like that's not what, that's a disincentive to do those things. But the person who's attacking you should get full points, and especially if there's multiple people, it should be kind of split evenly or whatever. But um, you want to incentivize knowing when to eject, but also not crashing, not going out of bounds just to deny your enemy points, and that's what we have right now, and that sucks. We all know right now that missiles are a joke, because they give 3 to 4 times as many points, maybe 2 to 4 times, just for using a missile to destroy someone. I don't know if this is a bug or how this happened in the first place. That's obvious fix. We also have weird situations where you might be up against an Aurora or a Mustang or a Cutlass M50. These ships give virtually no points when you attack them, but they all take a long time to kill. I mean, in some cases it's because they have dead zones like the Mustang and the Aurora, or the M50 is just really hard to hit. So it's like a waste of time to even fight these guys, and it's kind of irritating when they're on you. The incentive we have right now is just to farm sabers, or I mean, in reality, it's like the missile spam vanguards, but we don't have to get into that. The next thing I want to talk about, another easy fix, is team balance. New players go in an Aurora, Reliant, whatever they have by default. They get completely stomped by Super Hornets, Vanguards, including me, right? Um, that's a huge turnoff for them. When RS queues up, my org queues up as a team of 4. Let's say there's 2 versus 2 already in a squad battle. We come in as 4 people. We go on one team. It's now 6 versus 2. what we need to do is rearrange those teams, right? We need to account for what ship we're taking in. We need to account for what rank we are in the leaderboards. And I mean, yeah, you want to keep people that queue together as a team together. But we all know that is a huge advantage. Like, give us a handicap. It should at least be there should be some mechanism for switching teams in a live game, like in a play. Let's say, okay, you got 10 seconds on this team when you're switching, or something like that. It doesn't have to be on death. It could be, okay, here's your timer. In 10 seconds, you're switching to the other team. Boom. That way, you can enable these games to, you know, whenever we roll in with 4 people, we should be up against like 8 or whatever. And that would be fun. It would be fun for us because it would be challenging. It would be fun for the opponents because they wouldn't get fucking crushed every game. That's not what we want. Like, we don't want to just go in there and roll over people. That's not fun for us. Like, we love to go in and have these people that are a challenge and who are queued up themselves. And we understand the vast majority of people are probably single queuing. So give us a hint, give us a penalty for that, and we'll fight, as many as people can get thrown at us. Getting back to the score cap that I hit, um, this 8 million, 300,000, and you'll notice that that's definitely the score cap. Let's talk about incentives, not in terms of leaderboard ratings and whatnot, as opposed to just in-game scores. I like the leaderboards right now, and I have for their entire existence, because they are the only real persistent thing in SC. I mean, obviously the seasons roll over. I didn't play squad battle that patch, did I? BR. Yeah, fuck BR. Okay. The seasons roll over. But I can go into the game, I can go to the website, I can see the crossover at any time. I mean, it's not true persistence, right? But it's something. It's not like where I go in a Crusader and everything I do in there is more or less a waste of time. Um, it is strange though that we have leaderboards and rankings at this stage in the game. But CEIG themselves promote it pretty heavily. They came out 0.9. This is back in 2014, way ahead of the star map, way ahead of Galactopedia, Org 2.0, all of these other things that might be more useful at an alpha stage. CIG put this first, put leaderboards first. In their weekly newsletters, they're putting out, the top whatever player for each game mode. They added this whole ranking system in 2.6, although we have no idea how it works, and I think it's pretty stupid that only one person out of millions of players, or whatever, can get the top rank, because it's not going to be me. I just want to gripe about that really quick. Anyway, I'm not going to do that. Here's the thing. So CIG has prioritized the leading board. We have no idea how they work and never have. The rating algorithm that they use is secret. I've been lobbying them for a very long time to get the information that determines what your rating is, and I've been stonewalled. And no self-respecting rating system is going to do that. No self-respecting rating system hides the method by which it does the rating. We're going to give the trophy to Malogos this season. He's good job. But why does he get the trophy? Oh, we don't need to tell you that. That's all you need to know is that he gets a trophy. Like, what? That's what we have right now. And I'm often in this weird place where I defend SC to critics or CIG to critics who don't really know what they're talking about when they bring up issues about software development or internal gameplay mechanics, and they're just like ignorant of these things. And then I have to be critical of CIG when I'm looking at pure fanboys where CIG can do no wrong, and they would easily change their opinion to fit whatever CIG's doing at the time. This is one of those times where I look at for the CIG's policy of communication, and I'm just kind of scratching my head and like how open they are about this stuff. Like, why is this not public at this stage in the game? This is not something that needs to be private and secret. So yeah, that's one thing I need to do. First off, is so that we can get accurate feedback on this thing. We need to know how it works. We need to know if it's any good. Like, I'm genuinely not gonna try to like influence opinion on the leaderboard rating system to benefit purely myself. I just want to know how it works so that we can make it better for everyone. And I mean, I guess you just have to take my word for it for now, but whatever. Um, anyway, back to the cap. So this number right here is essentially just a signed 3 byte integer, right? This is what it looks like. That's a really easy thing for them to fix. It doesn't affect single players that much, but orgs, we have multiple orgs that have already kept out points. Probably in the first couple of weeks that happened. I mean, it messes up org rankings. So RS right now is in 31st place, um, or 30th. Are we gonna ignore the fact that the leaderboard doesn't even know what place we're actually in? But look at our score and our hours versus other orgs. Should an org with 13 hours of gameplay, regardless of if their stats are better, and they're not really that much better, the only thing we have better, I think they have better, is this. I'm not picking on these guys. They're probably just fine. But 13 hours versus, or this guy's with 10, versus our 270 hours of gameplay. Should we really be behind them? What is the rating algorithm that puts this org ahead of our org? I'm not saying we're the best org out there, but like why even have this if it doesn't show us anything useful at all? And that's exactly what this is, a complete waste of time, this one right here. Look at this for individual players. Now, CTFT is a great player. I would not hesitate to call him better than me in actuality. But we can look at the stats. And in every single category, score per minute, damage ratio, any visible category, I'm better. And I also have way more time played. So by any, you know, just looking at these stats, any logical person would say, okay, he's better. He's played more and he has better stats. Now, if you have amazing stats in only one game, um, you know, like this horrendous situation over in the Star Marine leaderboard with this guy with 20 minutes a game, like one amazing game is in first place. That's obviously stupid. Another reason we need to know why we have or what the rating algorithms are. But besides all that, we've kind of figured out why this happens though, or why we think it happens, and that's because the leaderboard, it seems, gives you rating per match. Your actual stats, how you perform over time, don't don't matter. Doesn't matter. What the hell am I even saying? It doesn't matter at all. It's only what you do in each match, and it's kind of like an additive thing. That's our hypothesis anyway. That might be a good way to do it. It might be, we don't know. But there's some obvious bad side effects of how they do it. Like, for example, if you join a game in progress, you can't perform very well in that game, especially if it's over in the next minute. You lose a ton of rating just by being unlucky and joining a game that's already going on. If you win a game too fast, and I think that's actually why I'm in second place, you're winning the game too fast. Match time heavily factors in or heavily weighs in how how much wreck you get in that game. Um, so by winning too fast, you're lowering how much, how well you do in there. This really screws you over when you play with friends, especially if you have a good team. You guys are going to finish that squad battle game in 6 minutes and get nothing out of it in terms of rating. Um, that's just a stupid penalty. It's the same thing. If you play and then the team quits because you're doing so well, your rating's going to take a nosedive after that game. Like I'll play a game, I'll do great by myself, I'll get 3 rating for it at this point, and exactly for this patch. I go into a game with a minute left and don't get a kill because there's no time, I'll lose 20, 30 points, and I'll spend another 3 hours getting back to where I was before, just to make up for that. To fix these problems, to incentivize certain types of gameplay, we need to know how it works. And I mean, there's other simple stuff here, especially when we were trying to have competitive matches. If someone crashes out, or even if you're just practicing with your friends in free flight or whatever, you need to be able to rejoin a private match. It should be really easy to do this, um, but we can't do it. It's in this unfortunate situation with the Star Marine tournament. If someone DC'd, they essentially lost that game because just the time to get back was just too much. And 2.6 is relatively stable. I haven't crashed that much, but if you have a 99% chance of being successful, if you have enough people in there, someone's going to crash. Something bad is going to go wrong, and that's why these competitive tournaments right now have to be small, um, just to lower that chance. What else? We're still displaying the handles in game and not the moniker. Why that is, I don't know. I mean, come on, it's been years. Um, there's drops now in AC. That was kind of the big addition to Arena Commander in terms of there's a repair drops, missile drops, boost fuel drops. I really like it when it comes to repair because now as a relatively experienced player, if I kill someone, I can go repair. I don't get worn down over time slowly. And so my KDR looks insane right now, and compared to something like, okay, maybe that's not a bad example. I don't know, 2.4, right? These are way lower. You just get worn down. That's why they're so high this patch. I think among players that are actually using guns and not missile spammers. um, yeah, but for boost and for missiles, it's really masking the problem. It's hiding the problem with these things that you consume. And I think I might do a whole video on the flame model. But there's kind of tactical gameplay around drops. It's mostly good. For now, I would just kind of leave that. I mean, I've heard suggestions about, excuse me, like landing and repairing, or flying through a carrier hangar. That stuff might be kind of cool, but I feel like that's going to be a lot of work compared to something like a drop. Um, so now we get to the crux of what AC can do to make the PU better, and that's balance. Um, yes, things change, right, in this game. New features are going to be added, components are going to be changed, tweaked, major mechanics, whatever. There's a lot of things in flux here. The people that are on the cutting edge now, these have been the people that have been the cutting edge for the entire history of the game, right? We don't have to completely relearn everything else when one thing changes. We adapt to it. This is the approach that CIG needs to take when balancing, this MMO, this game that's going to go on for years and years. They need to build balance on the game layer by layer. It's not something you do all at once. And the way you do that is first you balance it on paper, right? You write out these gorgeous design documents. If you haven't seen them, for example, the cargo interaction one, the ship repair and maintenance one. These are amazing. They give you, what the intent is. What's the purpose of the ship? How is it intended to be used? How good is this weapon? Is it vertical progression here? Is it a different style? If you haven't seen these design docs, I highly recommend reading them. But we don't have these things. I mean, we have a little bit for this, but we don't have them for specific weapons or lots of things about dogfighting. We need to have written out intention. Um, the other part of this is formulas for components. For example, the relationship between size 1, size 2, size 3, lives repeaters from the same manufacturer. This should be set via a formula. The relationship itself is not dependent on other game features. It doesn't matter, how cooling or heating works necessarily for these things to relate to each other in the overall intent of them. We've gotten to a point where there's literally hundreds of components. And I mean, you don't have to, you can just look at them all. Like how many, you know, to fill this out by hand is absurd. You're way past hand tuning these values. But I get the feeling that that's how they're still operating. They need to have scripts to do these things and formulas to quickly bang out the specific values from patch to patch based on what changes. But those relationships can stay the same. What like the fire rate is, we or how the fire rate relates to each other. So maybe these fire rates something like repeaters should be consistent across sizes. This is like just kind of theory crafting here, but you know, it's either the same, or maybe it's 25% increase in fire rate or 25% decrease in fire rate. That 25% is the key there, or maybe some other formula. Same thing for range and damage and how much heat it uses. That thing should be consistent or easily changed consistently across the whole series of weapons that are the same, I should say. And the relationship's not just between the same, you know, just between the laser repeaters, for example, the same type and same manufacturer. How laser repeaters compared to laser cannons, how laser cannons compared to distortion cannons, how distortion cannons to neutron cannons. That should all be they should all be connected in a certain sense, and you don't need to know how shields are going to work for those things to work, at the higher level. And I might be like kind of struggling to explain this, but that's what CIG needs to do to make it fast. I mean, it's not even like they have a choice at this point. There's too many things to hand type in every single patch in an XML file or in DataForge or whatever. It should be an algorithm. Um, I kind of lost it there a little bit. Um, uh, we can already see the effects of having to hand type all these things in. Every patch, there's one or two things that they miss. Like the Saber Shields last patch, if everyone remembers, were 10 times faster regeneration rate than any other shield in the game. More likely, what they forget or they don't have time to modify are things like the Sawbuck or I don't know, the Omnis, which have been terrible for a year now at this point. Like not terrible, useless. They can't handle that kind of volume. So anyway, balance. This is where the magic happens. We get the intent from CIG. We go into AC, and with the repetition there, repetition is important. I get 30 dogfights in AC in the same time I can get one in the PU, right? Easily. So we give them this feedback from AC, and the feedback is going to be valuable because it's directed. We know what the intent is. We can say it's too fast, it's too slow. Otherwise, it's just a million opinions that are going to be slamming in their face, right? They then take uh, this feedback, they go to the algorithm, they make slight adjustments, they click a button and it just populates the whole thing, and it's not 500 intervays. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how the AC builds up the PU. That's how AC makes the PU better. And each component and new feature and game mechanic gets into the game. That's the process that needs to happen. Is that what we have now? No. We can get there though. The the PU, to any rational, experienced backer of this game at this point, it's not going to be. We know it's not going to be interesting in any real sense for at least another year. Optimistically, there's no persistency. There's no persistence. There's no cost to failing or even winning or anything. There's no group mechanics. There's no economy, and there won't be for a while. What we have though is the forge for that PU. We have AC, but even AC is so roughly cut right now. I mean, I just listed out all the small fixes that will make a big difference, but we need to make it as close to the PU experience as we can so that it can feed into the PU. Like for example, cruise and afterburner, that should have been added when 2.0 came out. It should have been part of AC. So we can figure out how those high-speed travel modes interact with dogfighting in a scenario where we can repeat the situation over and over and test it over and over until we've seen all possible outcomes, right? We've seen it every ship, every weapon, under all these circumstances. That's how you conduct an experiment. Round-based games. Now this is a bigger thing, right? I talked about game modes in terms of BR and how terrible it is, and it's really terrible. Squad battle with its deathmatch is okay, and I see where CIG is going with the quick respawns and the fast action. They just want people to get in there and repeat, excuse me, play as much as they can, as fast as they can, and not get held back. by something like a round-based mechanic like in Counter-Strike where you die and you're out for the round. That would be the ideal situation. I don't know if you can get that from CIG where there is some objective that Team A has to get, Team B has to defend it, and there's a round where they have one life to do it. That would be the dream for AC in terms of, uh, feeding into the PU and being and matching up closely. I mean, maybe we could just compromise for now. Give us some kind of objective to defend and still have respawns in there, just so it can still be fast action. I don't care, but we certainly need team-based gameplay like squad battle to be promoted. Um, anyway, it needs to be the engine. AC is the engine, right? That's gonna build the game up in terms of balance and features and how everything's supposed to work. So I think that's probably good enough for scoring and leaderboard stuff for today. I might do a whole video on the flight model. I could do a whole video on the UI, um, PVE versus PvP or whatever. We'll see where it goes. But so far these are pretty fun to do, and it lets me complain about it for 20 minutes or however. I have no idea how long this one went. But I'll see you guys, and thanks.